Hi everyone, it's Colleen and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm participating in a YouTube hop with my design team fellow members from A Cherry on Top, and I am going to show you how easy it is to make a no-sew journal. And we're going to start by making the bones of the journal, and then we're going to build by adding beautiful items to it. So let's get started. So there are two kinds of journals that are very easy to make. One of them uses envelopes and another one just uses various scrap paper you'll have. This is the one with the using the envelopes. I think they're 5x7 in size, and I really love it because you automatically get lots of little pockets, and it's also very easy to put this together, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But I like the craft color, the craft cardstock type of color, but you could use any color you wanted. And the other journal I built using 8.5 by 11 size scraps of paper, and they're tea-dyed papers that I had on hand. And you adhere the layers together with glue, and then you end up with these little fold-out pockets and a beautiful vintage-looking journal, and you can adjust the size of the journal to your liking. So I'm going to show you how to make both of these just to have the bones, and this is what we're going to use to decorate it. It's called Textures by Lou Collins, and it's called Beneath the Brambles, and they're 6x6 paper. They're 8x8 inch papers, and I'm showing you what they look like. I fell in love with this because all the beautiful purples and browns, just these gorgeous colors in here. And there in the back of it, there's also some ephemera and some I think no, not stickers. There's these things where you can cut them down and create like little mini journals or little mini tags that we're going to be doing today, along with the ephemera that's in the back of this. But we're pretty much going to use up this whole pack on one of the journals. Here's the section that has the ephemera, and you have some pretty flowers, and then you also have some gorgeous sentiments, and I'm showing you how easy it is to pull these sentiments out and use them. Very nice to have on hand, so you don't have to go searching for sentiments. I'm sorry if you can't really read what that says, but they are very beautiful. And you can find this in the A Cherry on Top shop. And here's another page of them, and you see there's a back side, so if you want to stamp your own sentiment or just use the back side just for whatever you want to use it for, you can. And here is some of the tags. Look how easy it is to pull these tags out, and you can use these tags to fill your journal pages up very quickly. Now there's more to this kit in addition to this. We have a big old stack of ephemera that you can use, and I will be using that today. There's also this, it's kind of like rice paper, and they're just this isn't the rice paper, this is the flowers that are that have a nice design to them, and you can add to that design if you want to. You can make it, stamp things on it, do whatever you want, but it's a whole package of flowers that can add some dimension, and you can stack the flowers together and do whatever you want, put them on a card, use them in your journal, but you could do a lot with these flowers. So I really liked that as well, and it's a very good color to use. This is the rice paper, and there's 4 sheets of it, and you can use that for layering in your journal. So these are some of the items, not all of them, that we'll be using today, and we're going to work on now how I put these journals together. And I'm going to link in the description box where I got these ideas, so if you want to learn more, you can go to their YouTube channels and learn more about the different journals that they put together. And as a side note, I'm leaving the sound on as I record this video because I feel like the sound is so soothing, the sound of paper crackling, and I just think it adds to the ambiance of this whole process. So basically what you do is you take 2 of these envelopes and you tuck one of the lips into the other envelope like I'm doing here. I might be making this look a little complicated, but it's really not that hard to do. And you add the glue to the outer part of the envelope, and then you put it in the other envelope, and then you seal it down, and that's how it stays together. You can keep that flap as a pocket, or you can cut that flap off, and you can do as many of these as you want and get it as thick as you want. And now you're left with all these lovely little pockets and a very, very easy journal that you can fill with all kinds of beautiful things. So that's one option. The second option, which I think is really fun, is to use various scraps of paper. And when I say various scraps of paper, whatever you have around the house. Cardstock might be a little thick for this process, because you can see I'm taking long way and folding the edges over on the long end of the paper, and then I open it back up and adhere it down. That's going to be a little hard to do with cardstock because it's a thicker paper. So you want a paper that's more like copy paper, or probably about the size of copy paper. You don't want it to be too thin either because it could rip. So I had collected some blank sheets of tea-dyed paper. I think I found them on Etsy. Great place if you're looking for those things. And I took several sheets of them, and I did this very technique that I learned from a YouTuber who I will share in the description box. And now I am measuring the size because I want the width to be equal for each sheet of paper. I want it to be 6 inches wide. So before I fold it over the lip, so it looks like a great big envelope, I measured it. So you can see I did 2 sheets of paper, and now I'm going to show you how I adhere one sheet to the other sheet. And once you do that, you can use several sheets of paper. And because this is a thinner paper, you could create a pretty good sized journal. Just keep in mind that you're going to be adding things inside of your journal that will bulk it up. So you don't want it to be too terribly thick. I think I used 8 sheets in total of this paper, and it worked pretty well. You could do more sheets, but again, you have to keep in mind the end result. You don't want it to be so bulky that it doesn't close. So look how simple that process was. If you were watching. If you need to watch it again, you can always go back and re-record this and stop the video and do it along with me. That's what I did when I initially learned to do it, and I felt like it helped me out a lot in being successful in doing it. So those are the 2 options. We're going to work with the larger one, the 8.5 by 11 pieces of tea-dyed paper, and we're going to build that up into a journal. You can see here I've already created the cover page with that flap, and then the back page. And I love how the flap opens up, and you can use it as a pocket or just a little decorative piece. And then this is the inside, and we're just going to start by slowly building up the inside of this journal with some beautiful papers from that Textures Beneath the Brambles by Lou Collins. So I trimmed them down with my paper trimmer to 6 inches in height, and it ended up being the perfect size. And then I'm just going to adhere it down to that piece of tea stained paper. Now, one thing I do want to say in retrospect is that going back, if I were to do this again, I would not have covered up each page with paper. I would have left a couple of the tea stained papers by themselves because they are so lovely, and I wasn't thinking that that would have been perfect for journaling. It's hard to journal on this decorative paper, as beautiful as it is. So if I do this again, which I will, I'm going to leave a few sheets of tea stained paper empty so that the people that I gift this to or myself can do some journaling in there. Now I want to show you how I cut the piece of paper for the envelope, for that little flap that looks like an envelope flap. I basically stuck the piece of paper, as you see, underneath that flap, and then I'm going to take my pen and trace behind it. So now I will know how to cut it. It's not going to cut perfectly. I'll just tell you that up front. But one of the beautiful things about mixed media is it doesn't have to look perfect. And you can always trim things up and fix things up and make them work for you. But one of the things that I love about mixed media is it's meant to be imperfect. And so you actually need to embrace that if you want to be successful in doing mixed medias and journals. So you can see here I'm trimming along where I trace the lines, trying not to cut my fingers off with the guillotine paper cutter. Just kidding. Keep those scraps because we're going to use those scraps. I set them aside because I'm going to be using them as we continue to build up this journal. Now I have my lip that I can put over the one that is tea dyed stained. I have trouble saying that word. So I'm just trying to decide which side I want to use, and I made my decision, and I'm going to commit to it and adhere it down. And I just think it looks lovely, and it also adds some weight to those little folds. So the folds tend to stay down because you put some weight on them by adding another layer of paper. And you'll see in a few minutes that this does not line up perfectly, and that's okay. So I fold it up to make sure that I lined it up properly and that it will fold. You see I'm trimming off the excess because I just wanted it to look a little neater than it was, which is fine. But look at how beautiful it's starting to look with all these lovely, lovely papers that coordinate together. That's what I think is wonderful, is that you can do anything you want because they coordinate together. So now what I'm going to do to actually create more of a vintagey look is that I'm going to ink up the edges with some vintage photo distress ink, just to number one, make it a little more rustic looking, and number two, cover up any of the flaws that tend to occur when you're trying to layer things and they don't come out perfectly. This is one way that you can kind of fix that up a bit, and look how pretty it looks. And then there's a little itty bitty gap between those two sheets of pattern paper that show the tea stain dye between it. So I went through there with the vintage photo just to kind of add a little more of that rustic look. And then I'm going to continue to do that on every sheet of the paper. Some of them you see a little better than others. This is darker paper, so you don't see it as well, but that's perfectly fine. All right, so we've got a little more done, and it's starting to look pretty good. I love how beautiful the pattern paper is and how it just looks so lovely together. So we've got a backside done. We've got some plain tea stained paper in there, and then we got our front cover done. Now we're going to do the inside of the front cover, I think. But I wanted to show you how solid this is. Once you adhere everything together, it really does a good job. So now that I have the front cover and the back cover done, I'm going to start building the pages. You can see that I added a little trinket that I had on hand, glued it down on the front lip because it helps hold it in place. It adds weight to it. And then I added some lace, black lace, and a pocket here and there on the side. I didn't show you that, but it's very easy to just cut the lace, add some, I think it's tack glue. What is it that I use? It's Beacon 3-in-1 glue, and that's what I use to adhere down the lace, and it works really well. So now I want you to see my thought process as I begin to build everything in the journal. I had a bunch of various envelopes and pockets that I collect and I keep in a certain spot, pull them out when I want to build things in my journal. So you see that little scrap of paper that I had trimmed off earlier when I made that lip, that envelope lip. I'm adding that to here, to this pocket, so that you're pulling out the colors that are in throughout the journal into this pocket, and it helps it just blend a little bit better. And this pocket has several pockets in it, so it's going to be really good to stick a lot of journaling options in there. So I got one part done though I did not adhere it yet. Now I'm looking at this envelope that I had grunged up and kept in my stash, and I'm deciding how I want to place that. So I decided to take the lip, the back side of the lip, adhere it, and you're going to see me put it right back on over that piece of paper, and you're going to see how when you open it up, you're going to have a little secret pocket in there from the envelope, another place to store things. And that's really the key with these journals, is finding as many options as you can to store things and tuck things in. So different journaling options, and get creative with it. Now I'm going to go for more paper because I'm going to be filling up a few more pages. And what I'm going to do is, you can see that these little sheets are all squares, and I'm going to cut the squares down and use 2 of them as a pocket. I'm going to create a pocket on my own using these 2 squares, and then that's another opportunity to tuck maybe a tag in it, a blank piece of paper, lined paper you could tuck in there. Anything that provides more options for journaling your thoughts, or maybe you could add a photo in there of a loved one, or a memory you have. So that's what you're going to see me do here. So I'm going to adhere 2 sheets together because there were 2 sides that I really liked, and you see I only glued 3 of the 4 sides. I'm leaving one side open because that's going to be the little open pocket that we're going to use. And now I just took a circle die that I had on hand, and I'm tracing around half of it because I'm going to create a little half moon opening, making it obvious to the recipient of this journal that there is a little pocket in there that they can tuck things into. There are dies that you could use. I could have just die cut this. Really, I could have added that circle die over and die cut it. But I had such a mess on my desk that I really didn't want to make the effort of taking my die cut out and adding even more of a mess. So I just cut it by hand, and it looks fine. So now this is going to tuck in behind this little pocket that I created with some of the excess paper that I had trimmed. And you could see you could just put like a little tag in there or something, just to let the recipient know, oh, hey, here's a little secret pocket. And you could put things in there so that they know. They may not know unless you show them. This is something else that I had on hand. It's lovely tea-dyed paper that I bought on Etsy that somebody also used, like a Martha Stewart design. I forget what they're called, but when you cut it, it creates a beautiful design. So I had some of those, and I used that to tuck in so that you could do there's another journaling option for people. And now I have this beautiful paper, this crinkly paper. This is why I'm letting the sound be on here, because I think that crinkly paper sound is so pretty. And I really junked it up with some vintage photo distress ink, and then I had a coffee stained stamp, so I really vintaged it up doing that. And now I'm going to go ahead and adhere that down because I decided what page I want it on. And I'm only going to place tape on 3 of the sides because I'm going to be tucking a few things in there too. And when you add it all up, there's quite a few places where you have little tuck points, and you can add things in there. You can put them in there if you're gifting this to somebody, or you can leave it open and let your recipient put what they want into these journals. The whole point of it is to make it as functional as possible. Isn't that sound lovely? I paused so that you could hear it. And these are some really pretty postage or postcards that I had purchased at a vintage shop, and I tucked them in there. And then I decided to get the ephemera out from this Beneath the Brambles kit because I wanted to, again, add something that is consistent with all the patterns and colors in here to that little baggie, so that everything tends to be cohesive. And there's so many beautiful little things to choose from, flowers and leaves and just lovely little things. And I just wanted something simple. I didn't want to jazz it up too much because I also like the beauty of that pocket folder by itself. So I just decided on what I wanted, and I'm adhering it down with my glue. I think this is the Barely Arts glue that I use. Make sure I've got it right. Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. So I use both of the glues, and then you also saw me use those sheets, the sheets of adhesive as well. Lots of options you can use. So now I'm just kind of going through everything and seeing where else I could add another tuck point, and I decided I want a little more decoration on that cute little journal page, which, by the way, you could do yourself with die cuts. I mean, you could just trim paper down, copy paper. You could trim it down to whatever size you want, fold it in half, take a fancy die cut that you have, or whatever die cut you have, to create that pretty edge, and use your vintage photo or brown ink or whatever kind of ink you have on hand, and just kind of antique it up a little bit, and so you could create that on your own. And that's what I did, and those could make lovely little journaling pages for yourself or for other people. So this was another little tuck folder that I created a while back. I created several of them. I saw it on a YouTube video, and so I thought I'm just going to create a bunch of them so I have them on hand for this very reason. And I think there's 2 or 3 little pockets that you can use in this little corner piece. And you can see too that I did adhere the whole thing down in the back. Looking back on that now, I probably would only adhere part of it down so you have as many pockets as possible. But you can see I took a piece of the scrap paper from this Beneath the Brambles kit, added it over the top of it because, again, I wanted some cohesiveness to all the patterns. I didn't want them to be too wild and crazy. I wanted them to be pleasing to the eye. And so now I'm adding this in the corner, and now I have another little place to tuck photos, anything, just about anything. And now I'm going to create another pocket with just a piece of scrap paper that was left over from when I trimmed everything. I'm just adding that adhesive tape onto 3 sides, leaving one side open to tuck things into, and then I'm going to line it up against the inner edge of that that page. And it works perfectly because you still see the lovely pattern paper behind it, but now you have another little pocket, and I'm going to add another one of those beautiful journaling sheets for somebody to use. So continuing on with building up my pages, now I decided where I'm going to adhere this pocket that I made a little while ago. I finally decided where I wanted it to go. So I'm just adhering the back, and I'm going to put it right on here. And I'm going to show you have lots of little pockets you can use. This is really pretty. And you could journal over that, keep it, replace it with something else if you wanted to. And it says on the top of it, it says secret pocket, so that the recipient knows, oh, hey, there's a little pocket in here that I could use. Continuing to tuck things in the various pockets, just so that they know the number of pockets you can use. And now I'm pulling out a little bit more of the tags from this Beneath the Brambles kit, because I just want to use a few of them in there. I think these tags are wonderful. They could be bookmarks. They could be used in a lot of ways. And if you have a day planner, you could use that as a page marker. It's just really sweet. So I'm just kind of finishing this little corner pocket up, and I'm almost done with adding everything I wanted to this journal. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you what the journal looks like when it's completed, so that you can get a really good idea. Now I have one more envelope that I'm like, I really want to use this somewhere. Where do I put it? Gotta tuck it in where I can. So I decided to tuck it in behind that little vintage piece of paper, so they have yet another spot to put things in or reuse the envelope. So this is the finished product, and I wanted to thank you for joining me, and there are gifts along the way, so follow all of us on the YouTube Hop, and good luck to you. Thank you for joining me.